Hey.
No. Welcome to the Sports Wrap. George Freight, Tim Ringhofer, and good to be here. New show, new little format for me and George. I don't know if we necessarily know where this thing is going, but we're gonna give it a whirl.
Well, we haven't a clue, but we have a very active crowd tonight, and
we should tell everybody where we're at.
That's right.
We should tell everybody we're here at the Rainier Muni, and this is probably going to be our spot, our locality. Thursday nights about 5 o'clock for the foreseeable future. So if you're watching this show and you like what you see and you want to come out and banter with us a little bit, that would be great. Look, there's KCC TV up on the thing.
Right there, right now.
There it is. And of course, this is kind of a lead into our on KCC TV. This is going to be a play into our live games, George, which you have had a major hand in, and we're going to have live football on the air. All 4 home games for the Broncos going to be on the air starting at about 6:45 to 6:50, and those games will also be able to be watched online if you want to go to kcc-tv.org. So if you're not in International Falls, or maybe you don't have Midco and you're watching this show on YouTube, you can go to kcc-tv.org and you click on the link and you can watch live Bronco football from anywhere you are in the world, as long as you have that internet access. So KCC TV is pretty excited. I think we're pretty excited that we get to do some Bronco football.
Well, and we don't have to put up with commercials, so we can gab the whole hour, and that won't slow us down a bit.
I am going to say this. I told you a couple of weeks ago we were going to have 1 camera.
Yes.
I was informed this afternoon that we are going to have 4 cameras. One that'll be on the scoreboard full time, so everybody can see what the score is, how much time is left, so we don't even have to talk about that stuff. There'll be a camera that they can point to us in case they want to flip the screen on us, and why they would want to do that, I have no idea. And then we'll have 2 cameras on the field. So I thought we were just going to keep this simple, but we're going wide open right off the bat.
Well, hey, that's the kind of ESPN stuff that I'm used to, and
exactly.
We'll see what happens.
I'm going to throw a little bit of curve for you for our first topic tonight. UMD football gets started tonight.
They do.
Your alma mater, and what did you do any investigating on the Bulldogs?
Well, I hate to even bring this up, but indeed I did.
Of course, I knew you would.
Yeah, no, I was just, if I can find my page.
I'm excited. I've been a Bulldogs fan for years and years and years, especially hockey over a lot of other sports. But Bulldog football, with the championships back in 08 and 11, definitely got UMD noticed, and they always seem to be hanging around. What do you know about them?
Minot State is coming to James S. Molosky Stadium, and they're coming in to meet a team that is 11-1 last season, lost the first round of the playoffs, but they were conference champions, and they have a real good quarterback named John Larson who's returning, and so
they were a different. When he went down with injury last year, they were a different ball team. I have nothing against the other quarterbacks who played, but once he was lost, there was a certain dynamic that team missed.
Well, and Minnesota State up at Moorhead, they're number 1 or number 2 in the nation, and UMD right now is ranked number 10. So I'll tell you what, Minot State's coming into a tough situation, and the defense is returning a whole bunch of kids. They're really excited. The only thing that's going to have tell is UMD supports a lot of sophomore interior linemen.
Okay.
And some of them are fifth year, red-shirted type, but others are true sophomores. They're big, but at that level, sometimes it takes a while to acquire that kind of experience.
And I know by the time most of the people see this, it's going to be Friday or later, but I believe that game is on Midco Sports Network
Channel
tonight.
9.
So
it's
going to be on Channel 9 on 146.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to a chance to watch the Bulldogs tonight. Ought to be a little bit of fun to do. I mean, there's other stuff to watch tonight too.
Well,
We'll talk about what that is in a minute. But
as long as we're going through that conference, Bemidji also opens at Northern State tonight.
Why would we be talking about Bemidji State? What connection do you have to Bemidji State?
Well, because on September 28th, Bemidji State and UMD, and I have connections at Bemidji State.
Yeah, tell us about those, George. Come on, I want to get this out in the open for everybody.
There's a son that teaches there. and a daughter-in-law that works in they all wear green, and they all graduated from there. And so I said, if I come down, am I allowed to wear maroon? Boy, oh boy. And he's a policeman. He has a gun and things.
He does have a gun.
And so I got to be careful around that. On the other hand, I'll have a piece of maroon on me somewhere, no doubt about it.
Absolutely. I wish I could be there with you.
That is going to be a really.
And I'd support with you for that game.
Well, and I'll tell you what, they have a junior named Gabe Ames, and he was an all-conference, all-American cornerback, wolfman type character, and he is really good, and he sparks a solid Bemidji defense. These guys are no pushovers, and you're playing them at Bemidji. No, this is going to be a tough game.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. And anything else you want to talk about with the NSIC?
I'll tell you what's going to happen at 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. North Dakota is playing North Dakota State. And
I was this close to buying a standing room only ticket for $82 and driving out there to watch it.
No, that place is going to be absolutely packed. Now, is this the first time in a long time that they played?
I was gonna look it back up, but I believe it's since 2003. I was gonna look it up, but I didn't. It's been, I believe, 15 plus years since the last time these two teams had a chance to play, and it's gonna be wild.
I've been to a couple of the games in both stadiums, and it's really an amazing experience.
Yeah, the game, you could watch it on ESPN Plus if you have that capabilities. The North Dakota State versus North Dakota game on Saturday is going to be wow. That's all I can say. I still could pull the trigger and drive out there. I think I could get a ticket, and if I had to pay a C note $100 for it, it might be worth it.
Yeah, it really might be.
I had a chance to watch North Dakota State last weekend when they played at Target Field, and they are. I don't know how good their opponent was in Butler, but North Dakota State looked very impressive. There's a reason why they're ranked number 1 in the nation again after winning 7 out of the 8 last championships. It makes sense.
Well, as long as we're in the College Road, if you're going to ask me what I'm going to do on Saturday at 11 o'clock, my favorite team, Army, is playing in the Big House against University of Michigan.
And you've decided not to go.
I did, and I'll tell you why. There's so many other games that day. I hate to miss them. But that evening at 7:30, I think a real fun game to watch will be LSU and Texas. And Texas is ranked, I think, 10th, LSU 6th. LSU really wants to pop up into that upper third. They want Alabama and Clemson and Auburn and those guys.
Well, I think one of the things you saw after last weekend, the SEC might be a little vulnerable.
It might be.
You might see Auburn had to escape. Not that they were playing a bad team in Oregon, but they had to bounce back. Tennessee lost to Georgia Southern, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Georgia State, one of those two. And all of a sudden you start scratching your head. And the person I was listening to, they said the top couple of teams in the SEC still very good, but the bottom half has lost their edge. They lost their mojo. They aren't the conference that they used to be, and that's pretty scary to see.
Well, it is, and when Auburn, what they had at quarterback, they weren't quite sure. Well, I'm going to tell you, his name is Bo Nix. His father is a legacy at Auburn, and after he settled down a little bit, he was popping those right in the pickle barrel. He really had control.
You mentioned Army and Michigan a moment ago. Army's your team.
Yeah.
Right? Let's make a prediction. Where is Army going to stand? What's the final score going to be against Michigan in the Big House? Give me a guess.
27-17.
Okay, and I assume that's in favor of Big Blue.
After Army played Houston last year,
He's edging.
after they played, one of the analysts said, I'll tell you who's watching this game very closely, and that's the assistant coaches at Michigan, because they don't run into that double wing triple option. Last week, Rice stuffed them at fullback, and they had to work a way around. It's really tough to do, but they're getting their fullback back. He didn't play last year, regular fullback. And Michigan, it is going to be a tough go. Army's a good team.
The thing that we always talk about this when you play a team like Army or Navy or those teams, Georgia Tech that used to run the triple option, you know what they're going to do. You know how to stop it in theory, but what you can't do is you can't replicate it in practice because you don't have personnel who knows how to run it as well as Army or Navy or Georgia Tech. You don't know how to do that. And so for the first quarter and a half, you're kind of trying to pick up the speed to get up to speed with that other team.
Fact.
So in my mind, if Army can jump on them early, get an early turnover, and make it a whole lot more exciting.
Well, I'll tell you what, the other guy, true freshman that I saw, Boise State, I don't know if it was an upset with Florida State.
Here, get a zoom in on this Boise.
Boise caller.
Boise State, that's his other boys.
Yeah, the Broncos, what can I say? They had a guy named Hank Bachmeier, and he's from California, and this kid is exciting. And he's just like one of those, it looks like he got a 12-year-old kid inside this helmet, and he's bouncy, and he's jittery, and he climbs all over the place. The kid was really a lot of fun. And, a lot of times you get these young guys that fold up under pressure in the court. I mean, they're in Oregon, the whole thing. And but he really came through and really played a great game. Now, also, let me see. At 9:30 on Saturday, the University of Minnesota goes to Fresno State.
Okay, let's move to that. That was the next thing on my list right there. It is.
Okay, so I looked. I knew Fresno State give a good go to USC last week. I don't know if
USC is not very good. I don't believe. That's my opinion.
I don't think they are either. They certainly aren't the USC that we've been used to. But last year, the Gophers beat them 21-14, I believe.
Sounds right.
In Minneapolis. They're going to go down here. They got a quarterback, Jorge Reyna, that went 19 for 39 for 256 yards and 2 touchdowns. But he did get clipped once. But he was picking that USC defense apart. And at first I thought, geez, how good is this kid? I think he's got very good receivers, and the Bulldogs are just no give me. Now, no, I wrote down all kinds of stuff about this.
Well, let me say this. The Gophers ended up playing their first game last week against an FCS team in South Dakota State, who was ranked number 3 in the nation. And of course, everybody's barking at the Gophers that the Gophers didn't look very good, that they almost choked, whatever else. But you folks have to remember, it is the number 3 team in FCS, and if everybody's bombarding us with how North Dakota State can beat the Iowas, the Kansases, the whatever of the world, that they could be maybe half the teams in the nation, why can't South Dakota State come into Minnesota and play right with the Gophers? I mean, I think the Gophers, there's 128 teams in Division 1A. I'm saying the Gophers are in the top third of those teams. I'm going to put them in the top 45 teams in the nation. So that's not too far above halfway where South Dakota State comes in. South Dakota State had everything to gain and nothing to lose, so they played like that.
And that's exactly right. And when you take a look at some of the All-Americans, some of the defensive plays that they have, this is a top shelf team. On top of that, offenses take just a little while to get going in the season. The good thing about this offense is they have Ibrahim and Rodney Smith back.
Yeah.
And I mean, there is really, really good speed back there. Also, on the right side of the line, Tim, they got a guard that's 6'8", and he's 375 pounds. The tackle is 6'9", and he's 4 pounds, 400 pounds. Now, if they can get that line just moving a little bit and some drive blocking, I'm just saying is that those guys have the speed to make the corner. Also, they also have Tyler Johnson, who in my estimation is one of the best receivers in the Big Ten.
He's got to start showing it on a more consistent basis. That's my only complaint.
That's the only thing he has.
There are times when he looks outstanding, and there's other times that he looks like he couldn't play at a community college.
Now, Rashad Bateman had 5 catches, including a one-handed snap that should go into the Louvre. It was beautiful.
It was.
When you see stuff like that, and he had 5 catches for 132 yards and a touch.
The only problem with that, George, is he had 5 and 132, I think, at the break at halftime.
Yeah.
Where did he go in the second half? And I think this is where some of the people are questioning the Gophers, and that's where I'm going with it. I'm a big proponent. I think the Gophers got a chance to be a very good team this year. But they got to do it on a consistent basis.
They do.
And I think we always say halftime. who makes the better adjustments. Last week it was South Dakota State that made the better adjustments at halftime. The Gophers, I think, said, well, we'll just stick doing with what we're doing. And then PJ Fleck had the balls, the guts, whatever you want to call it, to come out and say, well, we kept things pretty vanilla this week. Well, when you are looking to go to a bowl game and you lose a home game to an FCS team possibly because you kept things vanilla, that doesn't fly with Tim, and it doesn't fly with a lot of other fans. You better come prepared to pull out the stops.
There were two serious turnovers that South Dakota State had, and that's why the Gophers won. The second half and the fourth quarter, that's why they were able to pull that one out. And it's I'm just saying is that it seems to me that there's got to be a few parts of the puzzle when you have this kind of talent back there. I guess the question is Tanner Morgan the quarterback to fill it up? And boy, isn't that always the question.
Always comes down to a quarterback, and I know I've heard it a lot over the last couple of years. Why can't the Gophers get a better quarterback? Geez, everybody's got there's things that you got to contend with, and there is still that perception that the Gophers aren't a top-tier team. You got to get some wins with a lesser quarterback, and then hopefully one day one of those studs turns up and shows up at your door.
Yeah.
Okay. What else college you want to talk about? That was the end of my college list. Hey, wait, we got to make a prediction on the Gophers before we move away. So.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you. The only other thing, and I want to kind of just talk about what you said. FCS teams, the smaller teams, they love beating FBS teams, and NDSU beat Iowa. In 2016, that caused almost a commotion in Iowa.
Hey, Northern Iowa took Iowa State to three overtimes on Saturday.
Yeah,
these teams are not that far away.
Nicholls State beat Kansas last year. And so these teams are not that far away. So the talent that South Dakota State didn't bother me, but they know why they won that game.
Yeah.
And it's turnover still seems to be a big factor.
100th year of the NFL gets started tonight, Thursday night. You'll be watching this on Friday, so last night when you watch this, I'll say this, for the past 10, 12 years, the Super Bowl champion has always got to play that Thursday night opening game to talk about what a great season they had and all the rest of that stuff. This year the NFL went away. They went to the Packers versus the Bears. Did they make the right decision?
Well, I don't know. It should be a pretty good game, and I tell you, the more I read about the Bears, the freakier this Central Division gets. They are a good football team.
If they could find a kicker, I would be a lot more nervous about this team. They're going to be a good team. I think the NFL did make the right decision. This is two of the original franchises that were there, the Hallises, the Packers with Lambeau. The Packers have played for 100 years. Chicago's played for, 98 years, something crazy, 101 years, something like that. And so they did the right thing. You talked about how good Chicago is. I don't know if the Packers are in the same league, but I think at the same time, to get a little bit cliche, you throw that stuff out the door because it is the Packers versus the Bears. You throw the records kind of out the door, and everybody will have some tricks up their sleeves tonight that you won't have seen on tape and all that other stuff. So it's going to be an interesting ball game.
Oh, I remember the story that I read somewhere where the Packers and the Bears were having a pregame, an exhibition game, and when the Packers were inside, and this was the first year that Dick Butkus was playing, there was a bang, bang, bang on the door, and they opened the door, and there was Papa George Halas saying, "I hope you guys are ready because we're gonna kick your butt." And they slammed the door, and they did. And it's just like, and the Bears and the Pack do not care for each other. They go after each other tooth and nail, and have for a long, long time.
Yes, they have, and they will continue for a long, long time as well. Yeah. Do you want to make a prediction on who wins the ball game?
I think I'm going to have to go with the Bears on that.
Got to go by the Bears, and I'm going to go by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Okay, I might be in bed on that one. I might be sleeping before the end of that one comes. I told you we were going to make a prediction on the Gophers Fresno State. Let's go back. Can the Gophers get to 2-0?
Yeah, they can.
Will they?
Yeah, they can. I don't know. It's going to be a close game. Fresno State they're a good, solid team, and if they can take advantage of Gopher mistakes, which are probably going to be there, if these guys can get those running backs busted loose, they're going to be hard to catch.
South Dakota State outrushed the Gophers last week.
I know they did.
That's a scary stat. I know South Dakota State can run the ball, but the Gophers kind of hang their hat on the ability to be able to do that. So the Gophers do have to get their running game going.
They do.
If they're going to pull that off.
Yeah.
How about Vikes? You want to talk about the Vikings, Eddie?
You know, I'll tell you what. I tell you, this is true. I had my feet up on my desk, and I was watching a sports program, and they started talking about a guy named Saquon Barkley, and they were showing films of him, and I thought, my God, did they trade for Barkley? And I would think it was in the middle of the dream. Well, of course, they did not.
They did not.
So we have to settle for Cook and Ham, some of the rest of these guys, and I think we're probably going to be just fine. I just had a dream of Saquon Barkley, and
interesting. It's a nice dream. I believe that would be nice. I'm a big Barkley fan. In his case, I still think Cleveland dropped the ball last year when they took their quarterback Mayfield. I think he's a similar train wreck to his predecessor, and I've even ixnayed his name out of my brain for right now. Help me out, the guy who went to Canada and played in Texas A&M. See, it doesn't matter.
Touchdown, whatever his name was.
So he would be a great addition to the team. But the Vikes are going to be okay.
I think so too.
I think Cousins didn't play his best ball the last 2 games. A lot of people are concerned about that. I'm concerned about that because he does have a tendency, it seems like, when he is on, he's on. But when he is off, whew,